And welcome to our continuation of Bible Patterns in Modern Times, our after Bible study. We are looking at the year 2001, specifically carrying on after 9/11 and seeing the biblical implications, courtesy of, I forgot to mention it last time, Jonathan Cahn's new book, The Avatar, The Return of the Ancients and the Future of America, which came out in September. The book goes up to May of 2025 as far as events go, so that's where we'll be ending. But let's see. Oh, don't do that. Get the screen share going here. So picking up from the Naboth +3 events here. So on September 12th, we have, and again, what I'm doing is I'm giving us flashbacks of where we've been to incorporate the Avatar to see how it's all coming together. All these different things we've looked at, it's all the same story. It's all the spirit behind the scenes. So the very next day after 9/11, Tom Daschle in Congress, he comes forward and he quotes Isaiah 9:10, saying that we will rebuild. The sycamores have fallen, but we will plant them with cedars, and the bricks have been knocked down, but we will, I'm getting it backwards, but the bricks, we will replace them with hewn stone. And so Tom Daschle's speech on September 12th quoted Isaiah, him innocently not recognizing that Isaiah 9 is a vow of defiance against God. But he quoted it basically as a nation that this is our national stance. So September 17th, again, remember this was in a Sabbath year. So September 17th is Elul 29 on the Hebrew calendar, the last day of the Sabbath year, when everything comes to its head. As the sun sets, boom, that's the end of it all. And sunset begins Tishri of the first Rosh Hashanah of the new year. Why does this matter? It was in the Sabbath year, that's when financial debts are cleared out. Any money that's owed and all that stuff the books get erased and we start fresh. It's renewing, it's revival. But if we don't do it voluntarily, and if we don't do right by God voluntarily, then things have their natural impact. Very important note, as we said at the time too, America, when we invoked God at our founding, we weren't a theocracy. Yes, you could say we were a Christian nation in the sense of Christian values, but with God-given free will. Atheists are welcome. All other religions are welcome. Freedom of religion is part of that. God-given free will. You answer to God, not me or the government on that. But we are not a theocracy. We did not put ourselves under the law of Moses. So while we're not under those things, by invoking God and by dedicating ourselves to God, just like John Winthrop in the City on the Hill, we have invited his blessings and we have put ourselves on a place to be in danger of those blessings being removed and what happens from that. So these patterns do have their effect. September 17th matters because that is the last day of the Sabbath year. What happened on September 17th? Oh, the stock market, boom. There it went, which is the Monday after 9/11, by the way. So there's that. There's another chart showing it, Elul 29, September 17th, 2001. Pew! This picture kind of gives me chills a little bit. Here's the statue of George Washington overlooking the New York Stock Exchange. And this is where George Washington gave his inaugural address and where the nation from there would go to dedicate itself to God. So it'd be nice if the New York Stock Exchange were dedicated to God too, but it is what it is. So there we see the NASDAQ. Oh, there's 9/11. Yeah. And so the different cycles of collapses. So we see there's what we saw from March of 2001. And then we see going on down from there. Now we're getting to the new stuff from the Avatar here. So let's pick up on page 43, which I know means nothing to you. So here we are, this little place called the Dique de Tororo, however that's pronounced. Zooming out here, this is in Sao Paulo. This is in Brazil. So here we are in October of 2001. It's not long after 9/11. Jonathan Cahn was invited to minister in Brazil's most populous city, Sao Paulo. And he's going to be speaking there at night, but he's got his time free in the day. And so he's taken by his guests who wanted to show him this place, Dique de Tororo. And what does he see here? Okay, it's pretty, it's cool, that's nice. But then there are these statues out on the water. Like that. Yes, dude. Kind of cool at night. Yeah, cool. But what catches his attention about these statues, and as he looks them up and sees what's going on here, in the middle of the water were strange colossal figures. And so this is his story time here. When I get into his story time and I start sharing from his book, feel free to interrupt me at any time. In the middle of the water were strange colossal figures, each one appearing to be at least 20 feet high. Each was holding an object, a knife, a lance, a staff, a sickle, a bowl, an axe, a bow and arrow. Each floated on the water, adorned in robes and headdresses of different colors, yellow, white, green, blue, and red. It was a lake of gods. I had seen them before, but in different guises. Behind the slight variations in their names and appearances and he's in Brazil, remember, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Behind the slight variations in their names and appearances were the same gods that haunted Cuba, the Orishas of Santeria. And there, arrayed in yellow garments, holding a mirror and a dagger, was Oshun. Right there. Holding the mirror and the dagger. The goddess I had seen on the mountaintop. Though I'd never heard of her before those journeys, now in a short span of time, I'd encountered her twice, thousands of miles apart. As with the gods of Mesopotamia, the Mediterranean, the Nordic and Slavic lands, and many others, it was their nature to spread and transmute their names and appearances in accordance with the new surroundings and cultures in which they found themselves. So we're talking about how the demons are operating in these different cultures. In Cuba, they manifested as the gods of Santeria. In Haiti, they became the possessing Iwa of voodoo. In Brazil, they manifested as the Orixas of Candomblé. But in every manifestation, they followed the biblical truth of the Shadim, that's the Hebrew word for the demon spirits, or the Daimonia, the Greek word in the New Testament for the demon spirits. Behind the gods, lowercase g, behind the gods were spirits. The word voodoo means both God and spirit. The word candomblé speaks of a dance in honor of gods, the gods. In each of these religious streams, the gods, the orishas, the spirits possessed their worshippers, and the worshippers served as their avatars. So we're going to see what happens from Brazil, his next journey, and how that ties in. We'll catch that up next week. But this is Jonathan Kahn in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, seeing these gods on display here. So that's a good stopping point for us here. But does anyone have any reactions or thoughts or questions on these gods being in different, there they are from satellite, gods being from different places and different times and circumstances and different names, but yet kind of the same thing going on behind the scenes spiritually? Kind of makes sense? Good. All right, so with that, let's close back in the Bible. This time, let's go to Genesis again, but this time chapter 17. Genesis 17. Let's go ahead and stop that share here. In Genesis 17, we have this, and I thought this was pretty cool also. Of course, I'm sharing it. Let's see, page 54. There we are. Genesis 17, let's read the first 8 verses. Genesis 17, verse 1. Now when Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you exceedingly. Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you will be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer shall you be named Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, for I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your descendants after you. And I will give to you and to your descendants after you the land where you live as a stranger, all the land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. So just right off the bat, God right there tells Abraham, you and your descendants, your people, I'm going to be with you, and you are going to be in this covenant relationship with me, and this is going to be everlasting. You and I and your descendants, we've got this everlasting thing going on here. So what's this have to do with modern look and where we are today? So here's from Jonathan Cahn's devotional book of Mysteries, on this passage. The Jewish people, even during the time when they didn't have the nation of Israel as a political entity, when they were just still the people of Israel, the Jewish people, their existence defies the laws of this world. Think about this. They should, by all reckoning, not exist. In ancient times, they lived among the Babylonians, the Hittites, and the Amorites. But the Babylonians have vanished. The Hittites are gone. The Amorites are no more. If you want to see them, you have to visit the museums of this world. And then you'd only see shadows of what they once were. The peoples of the ancient world have vanished into the dust of history. But the Jewish people have not vanished but endured. You can also find them in the museums of this world, but walking the halls and passing by the stone reliefs of those among whom they once walked. They have witnessed the rise of the great kingdoms of this world and watched them fall. Against all odds, they live. Against all the laws of this world, they are as alive as they ever were. They are the eternal nation, the mystery nation. Behind the mystery of Israel is the God of Israel. They exist because he exists. They are the eternal nation because they are the witnesses of the eternal. I forget which king it was. There was a king who, the story goes, the king asked his counselor, so give me proof of God. And the counselor responded, the Jews. I mean, they're still here. All these other nations have come and gone. And I thought, well, Egypt's still here, and they were an ancient nation. Yeah, but Egypt today ain't what it used to be. And we see the results there. So I thought that was a pretty fascinating perspective that, when you look at ancient times, you see Amorites and Hittites and Babylonians and all that stuff, and Jews and all these others, but they're all gone. You don't hear or see them anymore, but we still have the Jews. Must be something to that. Someone to that, yeah. And we just read it in Genesis 17. Again, this is a living word. It's active. It's still in effect. So thoughts, reactions on Genesis 17 and the Jewish people, descendants of Abraham. All good? All right. Well, let's have some lemon cake and icing, because that's sounding pretty good to me right now. But before that, we will go ahead and stand and dismiss our evening service. Let's meet in the center and close out in our season of prayer together. And I thank you for your time and attention here. Looking forward to our next journeys next week in the new month. So with that, we'll stop recording and get ready to close out in our season of prayer together.